You're still watching Prime Morning. My name is Roslyn Felly. Back to back on your screen, right? Don't worry at all, because KMJ is on his way to Tema to bring you another insightful conversation. Now, he's going to get a spa treatment. KMJ is the luckiest TV presenter ever. He got a tattoo on Friday, live on the show, and today he's going to get spa treatment. Don't wish to be him, because the work is not easy. But we'll bring you some conversations all the way from Tema, and KMJ will be championing that particular conversation. But then in the studio right now for Prime Inside, it's time for us to have a conversation with regards to women leaders. And anytime we talk about women leaders, people have all sorts of things to say about them. But you know what? You don't have to have all sorts of things to say about them. Let me tell you something. What the topic that we are going to delve into will allow you to have various aspects of leadership. So if you're a lady out there, this conversation is for you. You understand what leadership is, and when that position gets to your turn, or when you get lucky to get into that position, how you will handle it. Now, we're also talking about CEOs in terms of their leadership styles, and so you ought to stay glued and listen very well to how to handle a situation when you are a leader CEO. Also, we'll talk about, how to explore your potential and the factors that contribute to different types of leadership. And this is why you ought to stay glued to your television. Now, sending your messages to us as well. Male CEOs, female CEOs, what's your preference? I have my preference. I don't know about you. Now, we did a poll on social media. It's quite interesting. Let me take us through our poll. On Twitter, we had an interesting one. The female CEOs got 30%, and the male CEOs got 70%. Kwame said, female boss, dear, even their own gender don't like them. Wow. Kwame, really? Are you sure? Because me, I prefer female CEOs. So I don't know why you say their own gender don't like them. But anyway, we have more also coming your way because this conversation is insightful. Let me see. There's another one here from Facebook. Eben Ricardo Jr. says, any of them. Okay. Akosia says, male all the time. Halidu Aishetu says, male boss. Kusori Nelson says, female. Akosia Abigail Adai says male boss. So, as you read through the comments, what you see is that the males prefer the female CEOs and the females prefer the male CEOs. So does it mean that unlike pole does attract and like poles don't? Well, this conversation is definitely quite interesting, and so you ought to stay glued to your television set for it as well. Okay, so there's another comment here. So this is coming from Nana Kwesi. Nana Kwesi says, males are the best, women are bossy and show off a lot, drawing unnecessary attention to themselves and making the rest feel like, okay, especially to their fellow female colleagues. Okay, so Kwame says, female bosses, dear, even their own gender don't like them. Okay. Nephew says, okay, this is from Koiti. Koiti says, from experience, female bosses think if they don't become hard, the men will override them. So they turn out to be overly bossy, and that brings about disrespect to their subordinates, for which most are men, and also think their fellow women are jealous of them. So it's not cool. I see. Quite interesting messages coming in there. Let's hear from you what you also think about it. Do you think female CEOs are better than male CEOs? But then let's delve into this conversation. And I do have with me Elsie Appel, who is a trainer and with Akreti. I hope I got it right. Akreti. Okay. So why did I say Akreti? All right. So she is a trainer with Akreti. And also joining us via Zoom this morning is Eunice Nyadu, who is Chief Financial Officer at Margins ID Group. And also Antoinette Jan, who is a career consultant, and Eve Envoy for education and skills training. Good morning to all my ladies, those joining on via Zoom, and Elsie Appel. Good morning, Elsie.
This is Antoinette.
Oh, okay, Antoinette, sorry. Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well.
All right, so what I want us to do is to quickly go back. There's one more on social media that we ought to look at, and then we start our conversation. So nephew says, male bosses, I beg, females easily make decisions based on their moods? Let me ask you, Antoinette, do you think that really is true?
That female bosses make decisions based
on their moods? Do you agree?
I think that we not necessarily look at it as a female-male thing, but individuals make various decisions. I think there's a lot of pressure on female leaders to act a certain way or to be a certain way. And so people pay attention more to how female leaders react, etc., because there's a lot of stereotypes and biases when it comes to women. So even though, like we say, everybody is not perfect, but in terms of female, there's a lot of spotlight on them and in terms of how they act and all that. And we think that these stereotypes shouldn't be reinforced and emphasized. That is what I'll say to that.
Okay, fantastic. I'll come back to you, Antoinette. We have to go on Zoom right now and have this particular conversation. Yesterday was World Menstrual Hygiene Day, and we know there's a group out there who want to protest against taxes on sanitary pads. Now, there are so many young ladies out there who are not privileged to having sanitary pads due to their cost. And so we ought to have this conversation. And joining us via Zoom this morning is Nelson Richardson Mandela. He's Executive Director for Ranel Ghana Foundation and also team member of My Period Matters Demo. Good morning, Nelson. Nelson, if you can hear me, kindly unmute yourself. Hello, Nelson. Unmute yourself. All right, so I'll come back to you, Nelson, and have a conversation with you with regards to the demonstration that's supposed to take place tomorrow. The protest is in regards to the prices of sanitary pads. Of course, there are taxes on sanitary pads. That's luxury taxes. And they say that sanitary pad is not a luxury. Sanitary pad has nothing to do with luxury. So the taxes should be off. Some of us do agree with this one, and we are hoping that this demonstration will definitely yield results. Antoinette, back to you in the studio. You were making a point. You said, you know, you think it's 50-50, right? Yeah, depending on who.
I think that often when we talk about leadership, it's thought to be a male area generally, and so female leadership, it's seen as other. And so I was saying that there's a lot of attention to female leaders and a lot of expectation on the female leaders. And so that external expectation affects how female leaders even perform their roles, because sometimes they think I have to be bossy. If I'm not bossy, they will not respect me. I can't be transformational, because if I am... So female leaders sometimes are under pressure to act a certain way. And so that affects their way of performance of leadership. And that's what I was saying, that all these stereotypes and biases should stop so that they can just be themselves and be a leader. Because sometimes people also look at leadership as being a boss, but it's not the same thing.
There's a difference between being a boss and being a leader, right? And that is where people struggle to draw the line. But I like the fact that you're speaking about this whole stereotype and the bias issue. Does it come more from the male side or it comes from the females?
It's everybody. Because we've all been oriented to look at things in a certain way. So it doesn't matter whether I'm male or female. I have a certain expectation of probably a male in position or a female in position. And so that affects how I see them. Sometimes we think that it is only males who perpetuate stereotypes. Unfortunately, it is not. Both males and females perpetuate this stereotype because we all have these expectations. So when it comes to female leadership, we all have expectation of a female leader to act a certain way. We easily forgive male leaders we don't even bring it up.
It's not a conversation.
It's not a conversation. But when a female leader is there, the spotlight is on them to be perfect. And nobody is perfect, actually.
Okay. Hello, Elsie. Hello, Elsie.
Good morning.
Good morning, Elsie. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And your good selves?
Fine, thank you. And thank you so much for joining us this morning. We can also see Eunice there. Hello, Eunice.
Hello.
How are you?
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning,
good.
Eunice. Fine,
Good.
thank you. Right, so this conversation actually with this whole biasness and stereotype with regards to female leaders or female CEOs or female bosses, what are the common stereotypes and what are the common bias that we hear of anytime we hear that, you know, we have a female leader? Let me start with you, Elsie.
Okay, good morning to you once again and to your cherished listeners. Ordinarily, there should not, or we should not, as an environment, be entertaining forms of stereotype against women or men or stereotype based on gender. But as practice has it, there are quite a lot in the system. There are some stereotypes ordinarily that could have a positive impact or should be seen as a strength of women or the female gender particularly. But in most cases, those are also misinterpreted that affect to some level the performance that women will have at work. For instance, they believe that women are emotional and nurturing, while men are assertive and decisive or authoritative, that women are weak in making decisions, whilst men are straightforward, times very negative perceptions or assumptions about women that somehow affect their leadership styles. Another one also that is linked to how weak women are presumed to be at the workplace is their family roles that they play as caregivers for children, etc. So people feel that when women are employed in certain roles, those nurturing attributes that are associated with their gender makes them or makes them weak at their roles. These are just biases that are related to women. I have known a lot of women leaders who are very assertive, they are very authoritative, and they are very decisive, and they have made a lot of gains in their work. So maybe whilst the conversation goes on, we'll share more thoughts as to how these perceptions, positively or negatively, can impact careers for both men and women.
Thank you so much, Elsie. Let me come to you, Eunice. Eunice, can you hear me?
So,
yes.
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. Well, I mean, stereotyping of women in roles, I don't think it's going to go away. Excuse me. It's been with us. It just has to be managed for the ultimate good. What I have done in my role, especially because accounting, finance is a male-dominated role, and you can only look at outcomes and results. What is expected in terms of decisions and deliverables, and stick with the facts, and more or less ignore what other people might think that you should be doing, rather than what you must do to get the job done, to get the outcomes that you need. It is these same people who will cheer you when you have done when you have achieved it. The people who you think are in the way and are naysayers and so on and so forth, they're the same people who will turn around and become your cheerleaders because you focus on the outcome and not on the challenges in achieving the outcome. And you might come up with so many names. I think that having a sense of humor, though intangible, helps. It goes a long way. I've been called many names. I have many names at the place where I work in Margins. But I just think that people use those names as a way of relating with you. what they think of you at a certain point in time. They would say, okay, this person is Alpha Boss Lady. This person will say, oh, Margaret Thatcher, you know?
Right.
But you need to be able to have a sense of humor. I don't think that anybody leaves home on a daily basis to go and make ends meet, thinking, okay, today I'm going to make this person's life miserable. I don't think so. I don't think there's.
But do you agree that women do have mood swings? You know, research has shown that women have only 1 week of happy time in a month. For the rest, their body is resetting. They are preparing to either, you know, have menses. Their whole mood swing is a little bit different. Their real happy time is only 1 week. So do you think that this can also affect leadership one way or the other?
Indeed, and having a mood swing for me is a vulnerability that has to be managed, and we all go through vulnerable times, whether you are male or female. It's just that women have been tagged with their moods, whereas the male moods, they get away with it. I don't think that in my 25 years career, I will not say that I have not met men who have moods. They actually do have mood swings. Some, it's like a daily thing. But because it is a male, it's assumed, oh, the person is doing his work. He's given a pass. Men are giving a pass a lot of the time. But then the woman must justify why they are thinking or acting a certain way. But like I said, we would live with these kinds of expectations for a long time, because some of them are not, you can't control how somebody has read into that facial gesture. The person just thinks, oh, that's the person is not smiling, so it's about me. Or the person is this, so it's about me. I'm pushing that person. So most of the time, it is not about you, the person approaching that person. I think that when you are approaching somebody, it's mutual. It's a give and a take.
Right.
The leader would expect a certain, reception from you, whilst you are also expecting reception from this leader. It is mutual. And if you ask somebody, how are you doing? By all means, mean it. Because sometimes it is the only nice message that a leader gets, because everybody just expects that you should come with some, do this, directions, do this, I expect this of you. No, that is not what female leaders are made of.
Okay.
They're human beings. They also expect that kind of genuine appreciation on an ongoing basis, and it helps to make the work easier.
Okay, let me come to Elsie. Elsie, you are a career consultant, and obviously with what Eunice is saying, men do have their mood swings, women have their mood swings, but it looks like we talk about the women more than we talk about the men. We know we have some great female leaders out there. So why this particular stereotype? Why is it that even the fact that we have female leaders who are great, people still feel that the female leaders are not the best?
I don't think that it's now a lot of things are changing. We are seeing women leaders on daily basis making significant impacts in their fields of work and making a lot of impact on the growth of society. Yes, stereotypes as they may, these are societal concepts or societal beliefs that have lived with us for many years. Some will change and some may not change rapidly. People do have mood swings, be it male or female. People do have bad days. So for me, it's not an issue about being a female or not. And having a mood swing that is related to a biological make of you, maybe experiencing your menstrual cycle, mood or things around it just once in a month should not make society categorize you in a particular way. For me, laws must work. And I'm excited that in our constitution, there should be no discrimination against the gender of persons when it comes to their access to employment or their right to employment. So it is the responsibility of me and you and the society to ensure that the laws that are available to help us access the basic rights for us as male, as female, are endorsed and are implemented. Yes.
Oh, okay. Elsie, I think we'll have to come back to you.
There are people who face some forms of discrimination.
Okay, we'll have to come back to you, Elsie, to have that conversation. Of course, we are talking about female leaders and male leaders who your preference will be. There are some stereotypes and bias towards female leadership, and we want to see how best we can clear that off. So we have a lot of females taking up high positions. Antoinette is here. She's a trainer with A-Crazy, and of course, the question everybody will be asking is, how can we stop? Is there a training program for ladies? What can they be taught that they come out as great leaders to be able to kill this whole stereotype?
Okay, just to say that I am a career coach, not with equity, with myself.
Okay.
My agency is Araba Africa.
Oh, right. Okay.
And so when it comes to your question, I think that it's important, and in partnership with Eve, we are organizing one such programs. I think that women, young people, mid-career professionals need opportunities to develop their leadership skills. And so we are creating a platform for young women to come and learn about career development, career planning, activities that will help them to advance their career and to learn about leadership. And also when it comes to the area of leadership, it's important to build necessary skills that you will use in such domain. And when you have mentors and people within your circle that will help you, I think it helps you to advance quicker and faster. And I think that one other thing is that it's important, you know, we have this thing they call the glass ceiling, where there's a limited number of females at the top. And so there is a certain expectation for female leadership to be a certain way. There are a lot of male leaders, and so we want to normalize female leadership. And so in that sense, then female leadership, we know that if someone acts a certain way, it is because it's them and it's not a tag for female leadership. That is why we think that the next generation of female leadership should be many. We should have many. And we
so you're talking about a certain way. What kind of certain way?
I think that if there's a stereotype that someone, for example, what they mentioned about emotions
The
and
mood
bossy,
swings and all
mood
of that.
swings and all that, men have a pass on that because we know that there are several good leaders who are males. So we want to also have the conversation where we say there are several good female leaders. And so when we have a lot of these female leaders in position, we're able to see such examples and not tag everyone.
But how can our school system train us to have female leaders that can, debunk this whole stereotypeness? Because this is where the issue is. It's not the numbers in there. It is the examples that people feel. Because when you go on social media, the kind of responses that are coming seems to be from people who have experienced certain things. Of course, we have fantastic female leaders, but somebody out there might have experienced something, and so out of the person's experience, the person will say, no way, I don't want it. So what can we do? How can we treat the young girl out there in school to come out as a leader who will lead in a way that nobody can even say that, oh, you see, her mood swing is back. Oh, you see, she's like this. Oh, you see, when we had a male boss, the person was better.
Okay, so I'll say a few things. I think that we should give equal opportunity to our girls and boys in school to lead. You know, they do this thing where they say president male and then the vice president is a female. It's like a lot of places in school.
Even also, in America.
Well, and sometimes they say school prefect and girls prefect. There was a huge... I think that we should give equal opportunities to boys and girls as they grow up to have opportunity to lead and to learn, because it is in learning that you'll be able to do better. And so we give these equal opportunities. And also we should have role modeling. We should have female leaders supporting other young girls to be able to take up leadership roles, encouraging them, helping them, and mentorship, supporting them, helping them to fulfill their potential and to actually get the opportunity to do, so that when they get it, you know, actually the funny thing is sometimes females are not attracted to leadership. They don't have appetite sometimes.
Really?
Yes, sometimes.
How? I am.
Yes, you are, but sometimes people don't have appetite for it. That, oh, I don't want to be called names. I don't want to... Think about it.
What is the reason behind this?
The reason is the stereotyping, and also where there is this norm that leadership is a male thing and not a female thing, because there are various types of leadership, and there are tags that we have given that, okay, well, when you are a female, you struggle, people will give you a hard time, they'll call you names, you have family responsibility, how do you juggle all of that and all. So it is in these places, whether it's workplace, trying to create systems, for example, as I said, equal opportunity, equal pay is another thing, and also a work-life balance, because we can't act in a vacuum and to act as if that we are all the same, you know, that males have the same responsibilities as females. We have to look at it's not because we say go and be a female leader, so just go and do it. We have to create the support system for women to be able to function.
Right. Eunice.
Hello.
25 years of working, of course, you've experienced both male leaders and female leaders. What is it that the male leaders are doing that, you know, makes people feel that they don't have the so-called mood swings and all of that? And we don't have stereotype with them. What do they do so different from the female leaders?
So, if numbers do count, if you have more people doing something and you come across a few of them who are not that great, you still have a large number of them that would be great. And so it doesn't appear as if this group of people are not great at what they do. If you have a lot of females doing work, a few of them might not be great at what they do, but because there's so many other females that are great at what they do, it might cover for the lapses of the others that might have a few off days and times that they're not so great with the outcomes expected of an interaction.
Well,
conversations like these, having conversations like these cannot stop. For as long as people feel a bit diminished when they are interacting with female leaders, we cannot stop advocating that the female, just like the male, is aiming at an outcome. It is just the process, the steps or the decisions that are being taken to achieve that outcome that vary. But the outcome is common good of an institution, of a family, of an organization, as well as the outcomes are usually the same. It is the process, how that delivery comes across, which varies. And we need to teach people that, especially younger people, that when you are approaching male or female, the fact that the outcomes are the same means that you need to have a certain minimum expectation of that person. The person is not out there, is not a leader because the person wants to do you in more. The person has a target or an objective to achieve. The person might approach it in a slightly different way. And if that approach is different from your expectation, as part of continuous learning and improvement, you need to understand that I will come across people who would approach what they're doing slightly different from what I've experienced from my home, my parents, my school. And that learning experience, all those learning experiences come together to build a career. You cannot have a deep, good career if you're just used to working with a certain type of people. That actually limits your growth and opportunities.
I agree with you. There's a message coming in on our WhatsApp. I would prefer a male to a female leader because they don't even understand themselves as women to talk about leading. They are always emotionally attached to everything. This is coming from Prince. Wow, and this is what we are talking about, where people feel that, you know, the emotions play a part. Let me come to you, Elsie. Elsie, I'm hoping the internet is better now. Hello, Elsie. Elsie, if you can hear me, can you unmute yourself? All right, okay, so as we are working on Elsie to come join the conversation, that's what it. Now, this particular message, okay, you are ready. All right, Elsie.
Okay. Thank you so much. Just going back. Look at issue as your population that are women. The questions we must ask ourselves as a society is, if we continually disregard the contributions of a particular gender in our development, how negative is this impact on us? Let's assess the negative perceptions that stereotyping against women or by a human being, and you are not recognized. Your achievements are not recognized. Your contributions are not recognized. This will affect how effective you will be at doing your work. So for me, stereotyping or being biased against a particular gender does not only affect that individual, but it affects families, it affects society, it affects communities, and it can affect a nation. Stereotyping and having perceptions against a gender, not assessing the impact that that person makes on employment or on the job, goes a very long way in limiting the career growth and chances of the particular person. I agree with Linda that numbers do count. So we as women, I always tell people, continuous learning, continuous career development, ensuring that whatever opportunity you are given, you excel at it, is a way of telling the male gender that we are capable and we are competent. Whenever opportunities are taken, I'm not saying given, are taken by us, we must make conscious efforts and to go for what we deserve in society.
Elsie, you know, Antoinette made a point that, oh, okay, I'll try and get Elsie back. But let me come to you, Eunice. Antoinette made a point saying that most young ladies out there don't want even the leadership position. How can we, you know, give them that confidence back? How can we, you know, encourage them to take up the leadership position?
Okay, so I think one of the other members mentioned that we need to continue to train, especially our female employees. We cannot stop training, training in soft skills, training that builds confidence. We should also encourage employees to have an anchor, somebody that you go to trade ideas with. If you want to take a step, or you actually did take a step, you want to check in with that person. If you were in my shoes, what would you do? Is what I said, what I did, is that pretty standard? Is that okay? If you come up against difficulties, and you will come up against a lot of challenges, you would have to work it out with somebody who's gone through that experience already. Sometimes we just come up against challenges and we don't check in with anybody. We just sit in one corner and woe is me, solve, and make a conclusion that we are not good enough, and so we cannot push. The fact that that challenge came to you in the first place means that you are doing something, and that is why that challenge came up. You do not stop at the challenge. You just need to check in with somebody that you can trust, somebody that you know has gone through that kind of experience before, to find out what you can do differently and what you can do better. So yes, the first one, continuous training, also encouraging people to check in with others who know. You might not call them, they might not be mentoring you, but it's just that odd conversation once in a while, so that you know that you are on the right track. And by all means, you cannot give up when you meet a challenge. Life is full of resolving problems and challenges as you go along. If you stop, you will be stuck. You just have to keep pushing. Once there's life, you just have to keep pushing.
And we ought to keep encouraging the young girls out there to keep pushing. Antoinette, you actually do have a book. Is it to encourage young girls?
Yes, so I have written this book called Odd Numbers because I want to have conversations around career development. Career development is the path for many people to leadership. And I think that it's important to have conversations around how to advance your career and what meaning you give to your career. And so this book, yes, is to encourage mid-career professional women, young women, university women. It's for everybody, but particularly I've written it for women and young girls, because I think that sometimes we deal with this thing called imposter syndrome, and I'm bringing it up because it's the issue with confidence. If you've been tagged, there are these stereotypes around you. There's a lot of drama going on in your head, what you think about yourself, what you think about how people perceive you and all that, and that comes to cover what your potential could be. So I think that I'm talking about letting go of all of these things so that you will see yourself for who you are and what you can achieve. And so that's why I've written this.
Right. I mean, everybody must get this book, especially every woman. Every woman must get this book. Now, let me come to you to round up our conversation. My final question to you, Eunice. Now, Eunice, one thing that baffles me is that there are certain sectors that they are so willing to give the leadership to women. I'm talking about the nursing sector. I'm talking about the teaching sector. We see headmistresses, so many. But when it comes to the corporate world, politics is different. The story is different. How can we change that narrative?
Okay, so part of the social categorization of what a woman should be doing, what females should be doing, is what accounts for what you just described, that we all know is part of socialization, that if a female, you cook, you nurse, and so on and so forth. And so if you want to make a profession out of it, you make it out of what society expects, your nursing, your cooking, and so on and so forth. It is competitive, and competition is not bad in itself. If you want to break out of what society more or less has partitioned as female, it lends itself to, women doing better at it. Yes, that is true. You can see a lot of nurses are extremely good at what they do. A lot of teachers who become headmistresses and so on and so forth, they are extremely good at what they do. But beyond those professions, there are other professions. The accounting profession, the medical profession. There are females who break through some of these, barriers, and they are very good at what they do. And if they have given up, I don't think that they got a pass. What a lot of us females also think is that somebody must give us a pass, somebody must give us an easy way out into what we want to achieve. There's no easy way at that. It is not about how you look, So it's not about that. It's about how competent you are. And you cannot stop at building yourself, reading, expanding your knowledge level, getting deeper into what you want to achieve. Because there's nobody who is going to give a pass to somebody who is not competent at what he or she can do. It's extremely important to get over that psychology that, well, even though I'm not so competent, I'm not so confident, somebody will give me a pass. It may happen, but that is not the criteria for doing well in your job. So be competent, continue to read, continue to develop yourself professionally. You cannot stop. I haven't stopped. You cannot stop. You cannot stop developing yourself, reading, taking a certification course, here and there. You cannot stop developing yourself. Once you don't have new information coming in, it means that you're more or less you've plateaued, and really you can't grow when you have put a ceiling on yourself.
Okay. All right, so let me go to Elsie and have a quick conversation with Elsie as well. Hi, Elsie. Okay, today the internet hasn't been the best for you, right? Okay, you have an event coming up, right?
I know.
Tell us a bit about it.
Unfortunately, you know what? I've always said that women must make conscious effort by themselves to take over, to take advantage of our goal, working with the United Nations systems. And then the maternal health. And at one of those meetings, I was the only female among a lot of men to discuss maternal health. These are men who have no clue when it comes to the maternal process, giving birth, caring for children, and all of that, and yet they make all the decisions for us. So I got very, very upset and uncomfortable at a particular time, and I just said, listen, guys, you are good at what you do, but don't we think including the gender, including the people you are making these decisions for, will give us a better advantage? Because you are even struggling to conceptualize the issue. And the room became very quiet. And the chairperson at that time said, okay, I thought what she's saying, it's right. Can we make this a bit more gender interesting and gender sensitive? I'm saying this because there are times we are on the table and the issues affect us and the people are deciding for us and we just feel it is all right. We have to sometimes challenge the status quo, but in a very respectful way. Let people buy into what you think is right, because you can't do it also alone as a woman. You need the men along. You talked about an interesting thing about women participation in politics and in higher decision-making levels.
All right.
We don't get things on silver platter. I don't think the men also get everything they want on silver platter. So as women, I think we must have a strong network of other women to lean on.
Right.
It's okay sometimes to cry, but then know that there should be a strong buffer for you that you can lean on. You must identify people of influence at particular sectors where you want to be, to mentor you and to sort of guide you to develop your career to the next level and to the other higher level.
All right.
I think there are opportunities for us as women. Our population is a big bargaining chip for me, if you ask me. So we should depend on that. We should not just ask for positions or roles because we are women. I always say that I go for what I think I deserve and what I think I'm competent at doing. And as CEO of an HR company, I can tell you that I consciously make a effort.
All right. Okay. So unfortunately, the internet says hello. Right. I want to say a very big thank you to Eunice Nyadu, who is a trainer. She is a Chief Financial Officer at Margins Group, and also Elsie Appel, who is a trainer with Equity Ghana. We have Antoinette. Antoinette, tell us a bit about Eve Ghana.
All right. So Eve Ghana is a network of women, and we have various types of women. We have women who are mentors. We have women who are professionals like me and other younger people who are in the university. So we have this tweet here, and we want to pour into the younger people, want to mentor them, want to support. So we have come together under the auspices of Lady Julia to support and network together. And so we are having one of our programs. We've had a number of programs actually last year and this year. And so one of our programs coming up is Career Development Workshop, preparing the next generation of female leaders. And so this conversation we are having and all the issues we are talking about, we want to go and address it on 8th June.
Okay.
Yes, at the World Trade Center, starting from 10 a.m. And so we want to encourage young women, professionals, mid-career professionals, to go on the Instagram page of Eve International and then click the link in the bio. They'll be able to sign up for this career development workshop, because what we are doing here is supporting women. We are bringing renowned professionals to help women plan properly for their career, to learn the right ways, to even fashion. We are bringing Poku Poku to do some fashion stuff. We are talking about...
Poku Poku is my classmate.
Yeah. So we are thinking about posture, how yoga for the workplace, a lot of things, vision board, leadership vision board for the female profession. We have exciting things coming up, and I'm actually launching my book that day.
That's great.
Yes. And so we are doing these things. This is our...
So how can one register?
This is what I said. You go on Instagram.
Just go on Instagram?
Just go on Instagram. You sign up to become an Eve member. You click the link in the bio. Every information you need is on there to be able to sign up for this program.
Thank you so much for being here this morning. We are super grateful. And of course, we need more female leaders in the system, because women are definitely, you know, a force to reckon with. This has been Prime Inside, and I've had Antoinette Jan, who is a career consultant and also with Eve Envoy for Education and Skills Training, and my two other women who joined us via Zoom. That's Eunice Nyadu, who is Chief Financial with Margins Group, and also Elsie Appel, who is a trainer with Equity Ghana. And of course, I spoke earlier about the fact that yesterday was a World Menstrual Hygiene Day, and we have a group that is going out there hoping that they can fight for the tax on sanitary pad to be removed. And I have with me a gentleman. Jenna, let me come with you first before we speak to him. What do you think about it?
Okay, so in my past life, which is not so past, I have worked a lot. Like this season would have been my cocoa season, because I worked with UNICEF and Plan International, and most of the things that I did was on adolescent and female health, and menstrual hygiene was one of those issues that I often talked about. Indeed, the luxury tax is not a good thing. Menstruation, we don't choose to menstruate. It is not a luxury, and I should not be punished in a certain way because my genetic makeup is this way. And so I think that we need to talk about it, because I've seen in several rural areas where people do not have resources to purchase menstrual materials, and they do all sorts of things. Pad for water, they need money to buy, so they will do, I don't know, they call it blesser, different things. Get someone, sleep with teachers, do stuff, get boyfriends just to buy a sanitary pad. So the issues are many, and so we should make it easier for people, because even toilet facilities to change, they are all issues, and so we should make the burden a little lighter with this menstrual issue.
A big thank you to my guests who are here today. I'm speaking about Antoinette Jan, who is a career consultant, and she's also with the Eve Envoy for Education and Skills Training. Thank you so much for being here. And joining us via Zoom this morning, they did join us via Zoom, is Elsie Appel, who is the CEO and the creator for Equity Ghana, and also Eunice Nyadu, who is a Chief Financial Manager for the Margins Group. Thank you so much for joining us, ladies. Super grateful.